Hello, everyone. My name is Hallie Hubert, and I am joined here with guest co-host Nicole Smith in the Spark Studio to host this 8th episode of WIT Talk. Today, we will be talking with Fathia Hardy, the Director of the Office of Professional and Continuing Education here at UAH. First, we will dive into Fathia's incredible career and then talk briefly about the theme of curiosity and how that has impacted Fathia's amazing career. And then we'll dive into some advice questions and other questions about continuing education. So let's dive in. So Fathia, how are you? We're so excited for you to be here.
I'm excited. Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Well, first, let's dive in to the general question of tell us about yourself.
All right. That's a loaded question,
I
know. Well, again, my name is Fathia Hardy. I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
I was born and raised there in Irondale, which is kind of on your way to Atlanta. If you are familiar with Birmingham, we're on the outskirts. It's the city where Fried Green Tomatoes, the movie, is based off of. We still have the Whistle Stop Cafe is still there in downtown Irondale. It's still kicking. So that's it's kind of unique because that's part of my history growing up, and it was wonderful. So I grew up there. I was actually a theater kid. Loved the arts.
Oh my gosh.
So theater kid, did acting, singing, dancing, all of the things, was totally involved, SGA president, all of those things growing up, heavily involved. And then I went off to college. I went to the University of Cincinnati in Cincinnati, Ohio. Yeah, I think I just needed a break from Alabama, and I was like, okay, how far can tuition dollars and scholarships take me, right?
That's understandable. It really is understandable.
So between my junior and senior year of high school, we went to the National Thespian Festival, which is this big festival in Lincoln, Nebraska. The theater department that I was a part of at Shades Valley High School, which is now Shades Valley Theater Academy, I believe is the new name. We were kind of a well-known program, and we were selected to have a main stage show at this National Thespian Festival. So we went, and I was able to audition for all of these theater schools across the nation, all in one place, right? So it was wonderful. Got several callbacks, and then I got a callback from the University of Cincinnati College Conservatory of Music, which was one of the top 10 conservatories in the nation.
Wow.
Was not on my radar. It just happened.
Oh my
They
gosh.
offered me a position in the cohort, offered me scholarship money. Later on that fall of my senior year, my mom and I, we drove to Cincinnati, which actually wasn't a bad drive.
Oh.
It's not a bad drive. Just straight up 65, and then when you hit Louisville, Kentucky,
Okay.
you hop on 71, 75 for another hour and a half, and as soon as you pass through Kentucky, you come around that bend, you see the beautiful Cincinnati skyline. It was not a bad drive. Maybe about 8 hours from Birmingham, so not too bad.
That's not bad.
So we went, we visited, and oh my God, I fell in love. I said, okay, this feels like home. Not only the conservatory part, but also the campus environment. I was actually set on going to a HBCU, a historically black college and university, just because I went to a PWI growing up, and I wanted that culture.
Right.
I wanted something different, and so I was dead set. I was like, I'm going to Harvard. I'm going to be like Felicia Rashad because she was my role model. Like she was she was my actress role model, right?
Yeah.
And then I went to Cincinnati. I was like, oh my gosh, this feels like home. And they had a very great base for minority students to feel welcome and still get that
awesome.
kind of HBCU experience.
Yeah. Right.
So I fell in love.
Yeah.
And then I made my decision. I went to the University of Cincinnati. My dad wasn't very happy about that decision. He was like, my baby girl is going all the way to Cincinnati.
Away.
Yes, too far away. But, we made it happen. I experienced my first Cincinnati winter, having to walk to class in 6 inches of snow.
That is totally different from Alabama, where we cancel school if there's a snow flurry.
I know.
It's 90 degrees in November right
Oh
now.
my gosh.
Yeah, it was a complete culture shock. I'm not even gonna lie to you, but it was nice, and I like I said, I fell in love. I stayed in the dorms my freshman year, but then after that, I transitioned. I had different apartments throughout my time there at Cincinnati. I also got my junior year, I got pregnant with my son. And I was a single mom. So I was a single mom, and my parents were like, come on back home. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to be a statistic. I'm going to finish school at my institution. It doesn't matter if it's going to take me an extra year. Like, I was dead set, and my family respected me for that.
Yeah, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
They, I had to rearrange kind of my schedule. I worked full time. I had to take like different online courses or Saturday courses or night courses where I had help, those types of things. I worked it out. My family was super supportive. So, like, my parents would come up on the weekend classes that I have. They would come up and help me with my son. I had a cousin who was actually going to the University of Cincinnati.
Oh, good.
So him and his partner helped me out a lot. My sorority sisters. So I had a village, right?
Yes.
And it was that particular instance that kind of had molded me to the woman I am today. Mm-hmm. Had I not had that experience, I don't know if I would be here in this space and be so passionate and a go-getter and not let anything kind of get me down.
Right.
So that was kind of that instance. And then we had what we call a recession after I graduated college. And so it was really hard to find a job. I was working about 3 part-time jobs, just trying to, pay the bills, pay student loans, all of the things. And my parents were like, why don't you come back home and just kind of regroup? Mm-hmm. And so I came on back home to Birmingham, and I started working at an event center because I also did events on the side throughout high school. It was just something I liked doing. I did, baby showers and birthday parties and things of that nature. I always used to play in my birthday parties, and it was like to the T. Like, my mom was like, well, you're crazy. This 12-year-old girl is like, the Barbie's hair is not flipped the right way. And so
I love that.
It was weird because it was like, I'm an artist, but I love planning events.
Right.
And I think it was more of that creative brain really working
Exactly.
in
Just
kind of
different
overdrive.
elements.
Yeah. So I came back. I started working at an event center. It was actually, they were revitalizing the Woodlawn area, and there was an old Masonic lodge, and they turned it into an event center, which was really, really nice because it had several levels, so you could have multiple events going on at once.
Yeah.
So I did that for a couple of years, and then I heard about Huntsville booming. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, this is okay. I'm making, ends meet, but I want something more. I want to get back out of my parents' house. All of those types of things. I don't want to be here. It was great while it lasted, but it was only supposed to be temporary. So I was like, okay, well, let's see what Huntsville's about. So me and my son, we packed up. We moved here. I worked at the Space and Rocket Center for a short stint, doing catering and events there.
Oh, nice.
And then an opportunity came available here at UAH, and I applied. And so here I am 11 years later.
Wow.
11 years later, I've been in progressive roles throughout my 11 years, and majority of my time here has been in continuing ed. I did a short stint when I first got here in student affairs, which I do miss because I really do miss working directly with the traditional student, right? Being kind of integral in their journey, even if it was just helping them plan events. I mean, you're gaining those skills that will be transferable later on in life.
Yeah.
But I do kind of miss that a little bit. But it's something about helping somebody in their professional journey that just, I was like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is my purpose.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wish I had some grand story of I knew I always wanted to come work at UAH, or I always wanted to work in higher ed.
Right.
That is just not my journey. I was going to be an actress on Broadway or in California, but life happened and I pivoted and I found a new passion and a new love, and I couldn't be more excited. And I still get to share that passion. So I do work with Fantasy Playhouse, Children's Theater and Academy.
Aww.
Yes. So I still get to have my little bit of theater still involved. You know, director by day, actress by night kind of deal going on.
Of course.
Best of both worlds.
There you go. It was definitely God working, because after COVID, I did Leadership Greater Huntsville Connect class. And we were the COVID year. It wasn't the year COVID shut us down, but it was the next year. So we still had masks and all of those types of things.
Right.
But we had to choose a project, a group project, culminate our experience. And I chose Fantasy Playhouse as my project. And it was mainly because of the theater connection.
Right.
I was like, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And so we renovated. They had just purchased an annex building. So we went in, we cleaned carpets, we painted walls, we got the bathroom up to standard, got new blinds, and cleaned up the exterior, just kind of, helping them get that space ready so that way they could have a technical theater lab.
Right.
And towards the end of our project, the CEO at the time, well, now she's still there, but CEO Karen Markenstern kind of cornered me in the bathroom. She was like, "Hey, have you ever thought about being on a board?" I was like, "Well, I've done a couple of boards here and there." And she was like, "Well, what do you think about our board?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I like you guys. Sure." And so she connected me with the president at the time, which was Peggy Lee Wright. And I joined the board of directors. And immediately after I joined the board of directors, I became the secretary. And 4 years later, I'm still on the board. I'm still the secretary. And not only do I get to do that, but I also get to be a part of the productions. So I just finished The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Oh.
And I also get to do it with my daughter. So we get to do shows together, and it's one of those moments as a mom when you're like, wow, like I feel like I've accomplished something in life, to where my protege is excited about something that I'm excited about and really wants to do the things
those
together.
Core memories.
Yes. And it's just beautiful. And we live in a place in Huntsville to where we get to do that. There's not always going to be the areas to where you work by day and play by night.
Right.
And it's true, like when Huntsville says that, live, work, play, I wholeheartedly believe that. And I think that's why I've stayed.
Yeah.
Because I said, this Alabama, coming back to Alabama was just going to be temporary.
Right.
But, I mean, I'm locked in. I'm here.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I'm just happy to live in a community that supports all aspects of a person's life.
Yeah.
Whether that be working, living, eating, playing. They're really now starting to immerse in the arts.
Yeah.
And I've loved it here.
Wow. Well, your story is extremely inspiring.
Yes, it is very inspiring.
And as a theater lover myself,
Yes.
I applaud you for being able to find that balance of being passionate about your work, but then also about the, work by day, play by night, and being able to share both of your passions in such a strong way and inspire others.
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing.
Well, and a lot of my professional skills that I've learned stem from theater.
Oh, would you mind talking about that a little bit?
Absolutely.
I would love to hear that.
I mean, in theater, if something goes wrong on stage, you just got to figure it out.
You've
You've got to improv on the spot, problem solve.
Yeah.
And I learned those problem solving skills early as a high school student, which kept me transferred to, boom, I'm now pregnant. I have a child on the way. I've got to figure out life. Boom, I figured that out. I'm going to continue school. Here are all these things. Now in my professional career, we have 12 fires a day that I have to put out. And it's like, okay, I've got to think quickly on my feet, figure out the best solution, and implement that solution. And so that's the biggest thing. The next thing is being able to talk in front of people. A lot of people still can't do that. Yeah. And honestly, you being able to get up on stage and say lines and mean it and all of those things were transferable to my current skills. So those were like the two top things. It taught me organization. It taught me how to be individual, but also be a part of a team and be collaborative. I mean, the list could go on. Yeah, for sure. And Fantasy's kind of motto is life skills through stage skills. Ooh. And I wholeheartedly believe that because, like I said, it taught me all of these wonderful professional skills that have got me to where I am today. Yeah. For sure.
I've never thought about that, I feel like.
Yeah. I think everybody should do at least one play.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And it teaches you discipline too because, tech week, woo. It's some long days and late nights,
And commitment.
And you've got to be able
a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I love hearing all of that. So I guess why don't we talk just a little bit about your college journey? So basically you went to the University of Cincinnati, and so were you still majoring in theater? Is that
halfway through? I decided to switch my major to communication with a PR focus. Okay. There were several factors, but my main factor was I was already working. I had an agent. Yeah. I was booking gigs. And they were just like, my agent gave me the best advice ever. Yeah. You don't need a degree in acting. Right. In order to do it. If you're taking these master classes and you've got the it factor, especially because I was thinking more TV, film than stage. Yeah. And they were just basically like, get a backup plan just in case. Right. And I'm so glad I did that because, boom, the next year I had a child, and I probably could have still pursued my acting career, but it probably would have been a whole lot harder than just being an actress on my own, right? Because that field is hard in general. Yeah. At a human being that you've got to feed, you got to make sure you teach them right from wrong and all of those things. So I was actually glad I did that. And they were closely related. Yeah. So, communication, PR, theater, those types of things. So I finished, and I did have to take an extra year. And it's okay. It just happens. It is what it is. Yeah.
Everybody's on their own time.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Exactly. That is the best way to put that. There's no absolute timeline when it comes to a person's journey. Yeah. And I think that is very interesting of how you were able to find a field that is very similar to theater, but you were able to, like you said, use those skills that you found and be able to transfer it into communication and public relations. And so you said that you were very interested in that event coordinator stuff. Would you mind telling me a little bit about your journey, directly after college? I know we kind of highlighted it a little bit, but I think that, especially as someone who's, about to be graduating, both of us are about to be graduating soon. Yeah. It's interesting to hear that perspective from someone else of that directly after college journey, because it's very much
it's so different for everyone.
Yeah. Yes, and it's also like oh my gosh, what am I gonna do?
Right. It's so different for everyone.
Right, absolutely. So I was actually fortunate in enhancing my event planning skills during college because I did the Disney College program.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And I was most of the time when people do it, they get trash can duty or custodial, or they've got to work the carts or anything like that. But at the time, the director of the event floral department was an alum of my program. So she came and spoke to my career class, because you have to take the career class first before you can do any co-ops or internships. And so she came and she spoke to our class. And so I met with her afterwards, and I was like, oh my God, I'm a huge Disney fan. I would love to work at Disney. Like, what do I got to do to be on your team? Da, 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 da. And so that's when she told me about the Disney College program, and she hand selected me to be on her team. Wow. So I got
those connections.
Yes. And so I was able. That's how I learned how to do florals. I hadn't known how to do that. So I learned how to do florals. And, Disney event planning is on a whole nother scale.
I'm sure.
The whole nother scale. So I was able to enhance my skills there. And then I also did an internship at the American Lung Association. So I got more of kind of for-profit and nonprofit.
Yeah.
And been able to figure out how they are very different.
Yeah.
And get both of those skills. So then I learned about fundraising and development and making those relationships and volunteer management. All of those types of skills I learned from that particular internship. So it really kind of got me a good baseline early on in life to be ready for moving back to Birmingham, being an event manager at a venue that was very new. I had to do a whole lot of marketing. That was not my area of expertise, but I had to learn how to make it happen because we were a 3-person team at that point. I'm doing sales, I'm doing marketing, I'm doing catering, I'm doing florals, all of those types of things. When you're a small business, that's just kind of how you have to do it. Yeah. And so all of these pieces coming together, the puzzle pieces coming together, have given me the tools to be successful and continue to grow. And I think that that's what had me enjoy being a part of continuing ed, because I'm always learning.
Yeah.
Always loving to learn. I mean, currently right now, so we talked about post-college and event planning, but when I got to UAH, I wanted to continue to learn, and my mentor at the time said, if you want to move up in higher ed, which I did at the time, and I still do, they were like, you got to get another degree. And I was like, I understand that. So I got my MBA here. Oh. And I got that did that from 2014 to 2017. Okay. And then right before my mentor retired, the dean emeritus from the College of Professional Studies, she was on her way out the door. She handed me a piece of paper, and she was like, and I was like, what is this? And it was a letter from her doctoral program at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. And it was just telling her, hey, we've got this executive EDD program. Tell folks about it. We know that you went through the EDD program, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, I got the message. Understood. And so that was during COVID. So I applied. I started on a doctoral degree. Life circumstances happen, so I've had to take a pause. Yeah. But I'm hoping to pick back up here in next fall, so that way I can finish. And I'm also looking at getting a PMP. I've been taking a project management certificate, learning about that. All of these different skills, so that way I can help our students, our learners. What knowledge can I transfer to help you move up in your career? Here is my journey. This is what I've done. This is where I've gone. This is what I've learned. Kind of giving them a little bit of a roadmap, right? Yeah. Like, okay, you may not be able to follow my roadmap exactly, but if you put all of the pieces together, you might be able to get there.
Exactly.
So that was just kind of how all of these puzzle pieces came together.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's beautiful that you're able to use your own story and be able to share it with individuals who are, like you said, interested in continuing education themselves and continuing to be lifelong learners like you.
You're like the blueprint a little bit.
Yeah. It's beautiful to hear that.
Thank you.
And so I guess, why don't you tell me a little bit about what the Office of professional and continuing education at UAH here does?
So, we like to support individuals who are eager to continue the educational journey, whether it be on their own or if it's a gentle nudge from their their supervisor, which 9 times out of 10 it is, right? But that also shows that they are invested in the individual and they want them to be better. So, because in turn, that makes them look good, makes the company look good, and it also helps the community in general.
Exactly.
We are only as good as the people that are in it, right? So what we try to do is just help folks continue their journey, having access to high quality, diverse programs, whether that be needing those soft skills as a leader, or if you needed to learn a programming language, or if you needed to get cybersecurity boot camp to get ready to prep to get the cybersecurity certification, or project management, federal contract management. We have a wide range. However, we do try to stick a little bit within the mission of the university as well.
Yeah.
And enhance that mission. So, I wouldn't necessarily say we would do anything in like hospitality management, because that's not really what UAA, that's not our thing, right? Maybe management, but not the hospitality piece. There are other areas in the community that are better suited for that, right? So we do try to stay within the mission of the university, and we utilize subject matter experts, and I like to call them subject matter experts because they are truly experts in their field. And we pull from folks from the community. We also pull from faculty and staff here at UAH. I also do a couple of classes as well. One of the big ones is public speaking.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I've got a contract right now with Mazda Toyota Manufacturing.
Oh, wow.
Doing a public speaking class with their Lead Academy.
Oh.
And it's funny because I just went yesterday, the 20th cohort. I taught them public speaking class a couple of weeks ago, but I went yesterday to their graduation, and they have 3 of the participants kind of give a testimony about their journey. And to see how far they went as far as public speaking, I mean, it just warmed my heart, because I was just with them a couple weeks ago, and then to see them now, like, seeing that journey and them actually taking the tools that I provided to them, that gives me purpose. That means this is what I'm here, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to get emotional about it.
No,
so.
that is perfectly okay.
But, for a long time, I couldn't I was like, okay, Fathia, you're doing too many things. You're doing too many things. You got your hands all and your feet all in too many things. But God, what is my purpose? What am I here for? And it's helping others, whether that be in that professional journey, whether that be in the community, whether that be an 8-year-old actor, actress, who is motivated and inspired, whatever that may be, it's helping others. And so that's what we try to do here at OPCE, help others along on their journey. And it could be that they need a certain certification to get to that next level in their career, or it could be that they're looking for a career change and they don't want to go back and make a big investment into a degree quite yet.
Right.
And so they'll come in and they'll be like, okay, well, let me dabble a little bit in model-based engineering, see if this is really where I want to go, and then hopefully we try to, get them through a degree, because we are that pathway.
Right.
I like to say we are building the bridge between academia and industry.
Ooh.
And so we're trying to get them, we're that pathway to get them into a degree. So there's just so many factors. And it could be that they just want to learn. They want to learn as much as they can. It may not be in their field. They may not want to change careers. They just want to learn. And build their toolkit. And I appreciate that because I'm the same way.
Yeah. No, it's a great skill and a great trait to have of continuing to learn.
Yes, for sure. And, we're talking about curiosity, and Dr. Warner Von Braun So continuing ed has been around since UAH's existence, and you all know we're celebrating our 55th anniversary.
Yeah.
And so UAH has been around, continuing ed has been around since then.
Yeah.
And it's evolved, it's changed over the years, many different names. We became a college, and it's transformed over the years, which is fine. Things happen, and
Right.
opportunities present itself, and then you just kind of got to pivot and move along. But he talked about when he kind of helped start UAH that curiosity leads to learning and then advancement. So being curious about learning those new skills then leads to that advancement piece, leads to you getting that job, leads to you running that company, leads to you being a board chair, leads to those types of things. That being curious about those little things, learning it, and then advancing.
Yeah. Well, since we're already on the topic of curiosity, so for each WIT Talk episode, I love asking our guest what the topic means to them personally. Mm-hmm. So to you, what does curiosity mean to you personally?
That's a very good question. So I think curiosity can mean several things, but I've always been curious.
I was going to ask, do you feel like you were born with curiosity?
I think I was born with curiosity. I've always been that one to be like, let me go see, let me go learn, let me go figure that out. And I gravitate to people who are also curious, and we're like, okay, let's figure out the solution to this problem. Let's be curious and figure this out. So I think I've always kind of been curious, and I'm glad that we're kind of moving in that direction within our department of being that curious piece, learning, and then hopefully advancing people's careers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love that. That's a great response. Do you think that curiosity, like you said, you feel as though you've been kind of creative throughout your entire life? Do you think that curiosity and creativity are kind of intertwined in a way?
Absolutely. Sometimes we can get lost in the weeds, but then when we can really sit back and take a moment and breathe and really get creative, things can blossom. So for example, we became a college, the founding dean, she retired. At the time, the decision was made to just position all of the different units within the college across the campus so that way we were best supported. And so we had a bit of a transition. And at that time, it made it a good point for us to do a rebrand. Because we had the continuing ed piece had got lost a little bit in the weeds. And so we were very, very intentional. We took a lot of time to figure out who we are, what we are, when we're gonna get there, how we're gonna do it. Very, very intentional, very strategic, and we rebranded. And that's when we became the Office of Professional Continuing Education last May of 23.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And then I was named director in June of 23.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And, I don't like to toot my own horn, but I will tell you I'm the youngest and first minority female to lead this organization within its 55 years. And whatever form it was, in the continuing education piece, in this 55-year history, I'm it, right?
Yeah.
I'm the first to kind of do it. So that again, that's another kind of, this is me living my legacy here at UAH, right? Didn't expect it, but it kind of happened that way, right? So we rebranded, and very intentional. But after kind of all the transition had completed, I said, okay, what can we do to offer new services to our participants? That way they can kind of enhance their skills, showcase their skills. And I knew that digital badging was kind of the new thing.
Okay.
It was the new thing on the block. We, after COVID, everybody wanted this big flashy digital something to show that they showcase that they had accomplished something.
Oh.
And so we worked with Credly, which is a digital badging service. It was a long process, just all of the moving parts. We worked with them, and now we're able to offer digital badges for our participants for any certificate programs that they currently do. And we're actually getting ready to open it up to the rest of the university to where they may have a program. I'm working with a department right now to develop a badge for them because they want to be able to offer it to faculty when they do course design. So it's like now, okay, there was small scale. We thought it was just going to be for this, but now people are like, ooh, can we do it for this? And I'm like, absolutely. Why not? Let's get creative.
You
Let's
started
be curious,
a movement with it.
Yes. So it's those things that it's like, okay, let's take a minute. What kind of trouble can we get? Good trouble. Good trouble can we get into, right?
That's what curiosity is in a way.
There it is. For sure. Yes. And yeah, that's kind of been our journey. And when I first but right before I moved over and we disseminated, I was over the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but it's called OLLI. And I like to call it the mini university for our more seasoned adults. Okay.
Oh.
Yes. So average age is probably about around 75.
Okay.
And they're either retired, semi-retired, or they just are curious and love learning, right? And that was so integral in my career because I learned from them in so many ways. They're retired. They've done it. They know the ins and outs. Why not take advantage of that?
Yeah.
Right? You've been in those spaces and those places. You've figured out what worked, what didn't work. Right. And so it was always those conversations that they don't know how much it meant to me and my growth.
Right.
And it's because they were curious enough to continue learning and being here and sharing with me their experience to help me grow.
Yeah.
And, we our phrase actually with OLLI used to be curiosity never retires.
Oh, I love that.
So we're still talking about this curiosity theme throughout my life and my career. Although it took some twists and turns, don't get me wrong.
That's how life goes, though.
That's how life goes. But curiosity is still there.
I love that. Yeah. I guess in your journey here at UAH, how do you think that curiosity has kind of helped you along the way of rising up through the different leadership roles that you've taken?
Well, I will tell you, I was very fortunate. I had a champion who saw something in me when I first moved into the department, and she was tough on me. Don't get me wrong. That tough love. Yeah. And I was like, what is happening? Why are we doing this? Like, I don't like it. But at the end of the day, I understood. I got it. I finally got it. And when I got it, I said, okay, I'm here. And so she created opportunities and opened doors for me that nobody else ever did. We talk about how us as women are overlooked for so many positions, even though we're the most qualified, right? And I've had that happen before, even within college. I'm over here doing this, doing that. I've got these skills. Why is this person becoming a supervisor over me? Why is this person becoming a certified trainer over me? I've got those skills. Right. And so, she kind of paved the way because she had experienced all of that. Yeah. And she saw something in me, and she didn't want me to have to do the same thing. So she opened those doors. She said my name in spaces that I didn't know. She created that network. Right. And then now my current supervisor, Jason Green, who's the dean in the College of Business, is continuing on that same the same path. I was talking with somebody else the other day, and they were like, yeah, I asked Dr. Jason Green about you, and he just spoke so highly of you. So it's like, it's those things. Yeah. Finding that person that can kind of be your champion and say your name in rooms that mean something, and open those doors and provide that networking piece. That's part of it, and that's why I've been so fortunate in my career here at UAH, which I hope continues to strive. You know,
I'm sure it will.
That's why I'm gonna go back to school and doing all of these things, so that, and continuing learning and continuing to be curious. What's the next piece for me? Yeah. Where will this passion? What is my purpose? What is my continuing to be my legacy is gonna be here at UAH? Maybe put my name on a building at some point.
Yes. I can see it right now.
Yeah. The Frank Franz and Fathia Hall, right?
Yeah. I love it. So you were mentioning a little earlier about connecting industry with academia. Yeah. And so my question for you, this may be a bit of a silly question, but so is it the community that comes to the Office of Professional and Continuing Education, or is it for alumni, or I guess who all can kind of get involved in that?
Excellent question. It is open to anybody.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes. We even have some current students, like traditional students, who come and at least take our boot camp if they're in cybersecurity, so that way they can be prepared, already have their cybersecurity certification before they graduate college, because it makes them more marketable. It makes them stand out. Wow. So not a lot of people think about that. They're like, okay, these cybersecurity professionals, instead of getting that entry-level job, you might hop that entry-level job just by coming out of college with a cybersecurity certification.
Whoa.
Yes. So
that is awesome.
Or even some of our leadership classes, because UAH does an amazing job preparing the students, get all of the leadership programs, things of that nature. So even leadership programs, but it's open to anybody. You know, I've got a marketing manager. She has done an excellent job kind of sharing our story, sharing who we are, what we are, our vision, mission, and values. But so that's kind of one piece where we're just kind of open to the public. We have a Rolodex of courses, just like, just a catalog on the website, and people can visit our website if there's something that piques their interest. And most of the time, if they are a current employer, if they are currently employed, most of the time their employers will cover the cost of professional development. Okay. And people should look for organizations that will cover the cost of professional development, right? Because, again, that shows them that they're invested in their people. Exactly. And we have tons of companies here who are they've been nominated or won Best Places to Work with the Chamber of Commerce, mainly because they invest in their people by making sure that they're continuing to enhance their skills.
Wow. That is amazing.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. So that's that one piece where we have the public. Then we have kind of what we call our customized or commercial off-the-shelf line. Okay. And that is where I go out and meet with different companies, do training needs assessments to where they have like a group of people who need X, Y, Z. So I'll go out, meet with, most of the time it's the HR departments. Yeah. And we'll do a needs assessment. I'll put together a curriculum for them based off of the needs assessment, and we'll do a proposal, and if the proposal is accepted, we will deliver training for that organization. Cool. So we have that little piece, and then we have, because of my love for events and events planning, we do have our conference and kind of workshop symposium planning kind of line item, or so most of the time we're doing it for campus departments, but we have in the past done it for some nonprofits or outside organizations like the National Cyber Summit. We used to do that. But most of the time it's for campus individuals, and it's mainly because they're the experts. They know all of the kind of curriculum piece, but they need help with the logistics. They're like, okay, who do I reach out to for food and beverage? What do I need to do? How much do I need to order? Who do I need to book the venue with? those are things that they're not experts in, and so they utilize us to be that expert for them. And so we handle that, and we're set up because we already take in public revenue for our course catalog. So we're set up to be where, okay, we can take in the funds for the conference for them, and they don't have to think about that either.
Yeah.
So we have those little pieces, and and the courses that we do are offered in different flexible formats.
Oh, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And it's because most of them are working professionals, so they need that flexibility. So they can either take something online, and it can either be synchronous or asynchronous.
Okay.
Most of the time people do it asynchronous just because they can kind of take it at their own pace.
Yeah.
We do have a live subject matter expert that kind of monitors the course. Now, it could be that somebody else recorded all the lectures and did the content, and they're just facilitating the course, or it could have been a combination of both.
Yeah.
Where they did the development, they've got the lectures, they've got the content, and they're kind of monitoring it.
Yeah.
And so that way, people, if they have questions or need, more explanation, they can contact the subject matter expert through Canvas, because we utilize Canvas as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's we try to work with all of the little pieces at the university just to keep it cohesive and consistent. And because we also have faculty and staff who teach for us, so then they can just have their one little login, one little learning management system that they have to worry about, right?
Yeah.
And so that what sets us apart from like LinkedIn Learning or Google, to where you're going in and you're watching an AI generated lecture.
Yep.
Right. There's nobody to talk to. You just kind of have to figure it out. Yes, exactly. And a lot of people can't learn that way. I'm one of those people. I knew I had to take online classes because I needed that flexibility. But I will tell you, in my MBA program, that capstone, if I wouldn't have took it in person, I probably would have failed. And it's just because it was, I'm a visual person.
Yes.
I'm a in-person communicator. I communicate better in person. And I think that there's a lot of value in that in-person connection. And you can have discussions and learn from each other. It's hard to do that online.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Not to say that it can't happen,
right?
But it is, I just personally couldn't do all of it online,
right?
But some people are like, okay, I'm good. I learned what I needed. I got it. I don't need to be in person, and they actually prefer just to kind of sit behind the computer screen. Right.
Yeah.
And so we have those flexible options.
Yeah.
We've got in-person courses, and then we've done, like I said, we have the hybrid format, to where we can have some folks in the class, some folks online. I will tell you, we try not to do that too much.
Yeah.
Just because over the years we've figured out that the folks online, they don't get the same quality experience as the folks in the classroom.
Right.
So it's really just kind of hard to keep them engaged and keep the folks engaged. But we know that some companies, after COVID, they've got folks, they may be based here in Huntsville, but they've got people in Washington State, Washington, D.C., and
it's
if
all
they can,
over.
Yeah, and if they could just hop on a Microsoft Teams or a Zoom and learn, and they don't have to fly them anywhere,
right?
we'll do it at that point. So super flexible. We cater to the needs of the organization, and we want to make sure that people are able to learn, and it's accessible for them to learn.
Yeah, that's amazing that it can be both for an individual and for corporations. That is so interesting of being able to give back to the community in that way.
Yeah.
Community as in, it can be here in Huntsville, or it can be, a corporation's community that could be located
even
anywhere.
Overseas.
Exactly. So that is so amazing to hear that there is help to be able to continue education, because, as someone who is interested in probably considering higher education somewhere else in career, and I'm sure you as well, it's kind of like a sort of, okay, well, how do I get there? How do I do that after, being in the field for a while? Will I still be able to be at that same level of learning as I was in college? And how will I be able to
get back into it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was me after my transitioning between my bachelor's and starting my master's program. I second guessed myself a lot. Like, am I going to be able to do this? Because finishing out my bachelor's degree as a single mom was hard.
Yeah.
It was very, very hard. And I'm like, can I do it? Do I still have the same skills? Do I still have, can I stay committed? Can I stay motivated?
Yeah.
I second guess myself a lot. But I think once I set my goals, that's what helped me kind of stay on track.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I want to continue to move up.
Yeah.
And these parts are going to get me there.
Yeah.
So, my biggest advice is you got to set those goals. Yeah. And that'll help you get through the day.
Right.
The long days, because you got to go to work and then you got to come and go to class all night, right?
Yeah.
And that's what will help you. That's what I think will help.
Yeah.
Is staying true to those goals.
No, that's absolutely amazing advice. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so quick little pause. Is there anything so far that you feel like we have missed question-wise that you would like to cover in any way? Or in any way of the curiosity questions? Do you happen to have any questions as of right now, Nicole?
I don't think so.
Okay. I just wanted to give you the opportunity as well. I'm trying to think of any other curiosity. Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm trying to think of any other curiosity questions, or if there's any other sort of theme-related stuff of curiosity you would like to talk about.
I don't. I normally start, when I start talking, I normally start with what my life motto is.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of goes back to that curiosity, because when I first read this quote and before I took it on as my life's motto, I was like, ooh, it made me curious. And I was like, what does this mean? It can mean this. It can mean that.
Yeah.
And so I took it on as my life's motto because it is so true. And it is, life is like photography. Use the negatives to develop.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm. And I took that on because I've endured several roadblocks along the way, but it only made me a better person. If we're not learning from our mistakes, we're not growing.
Yeah.
And so I always normally start with that. My motto, my favorite quote, because it really is. I mean, it's only a couple words, but it's so powerful and it's so true.
They call it growing pains for a reason.
Yes, for sure.
Wow. I love that motto, though. That is such a great quote. I'm going to have to think that.
Feel free to steal it. It's okay.
Yeah.
I really
had
like it
college,
too, because I feel like in college you get into this headspace where there's a lot of people that think like, oh, I can have this perfect timeline, and it almost never works out that way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I told you I was going to go be an actress on the TV screen in Broadway, and now here I am.
Yeah. I guess here's a question about curiosity. I guess, how did you remain curious throughout those times?
Like the adversity.
Throughout the adversity.
Ooh, that's a good question. I really think it's because I had a great family structure. I had a village. And they helped me remain curious in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
My father, he's from Khartoum, Sudan. So he moved to the States in the 80s, and then he became a U.S. citizen. So he wasn't initially a U.S. citizen, but he came here to create a better life. He actually came here because he said he was looking for a soul sister. His exact words. And actually, Angela Davis, if you're listening, my dad was looking for you. And he found my mom, who was kind of that. He found my mom, and they got married, and they did move back to the Sudan after moved back to Sudan. They lived there for a couple of years, and then they decided that living in the States was probably a better option. And my mom, she's originally from Detroit, but she spent a lot of time here in Birmingham. She kind of grew up here. So she would go to school in Birmingham and then spend summers in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. So she grew up during the Civil Rights Movement. Experiencing all those things, she had a friend of hers was one of the young ladies killed in the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing, those types of things. So I think between the two of them, I almost want to say it's genetic. The curiosity is genetic because my dad came over from a foreign country, curious about how to start a new life and build a successful life and leave his legacy. My mom was always curious as a little girl growing up in the Civil Rights Movement. Am I going to be able to do things that other people who don't look like me be able to do later on in life? How can I be able to do those things? And so I think that kind of learning about their journey and them continuing that within their life and instilling those values into me is what kept me going and being curious. Because if my dad can accomplish coming from a foreign country and doing well, becoming a U.S. citizen and doing well, he still works to this day. He's an automobile mechanic. I've been trying to get him to stop, but he's like, you know what? If I stop, I might stop moving. And I said, I understand. We want you, we keep moving. We want you to keep moving. Dial it back a little bit, but keep moving. And my mom's retired now. She worked at UAB for quite a bit down in Birmingham doing different jobs, but and then if my mom can overcome adversity through the Civil Rights Movement and create what she's created with my dad, I'm like, okay, I can accomplish being a single mom. And so I think a lot of that and having them kind of push me. My best friend, Angela Jackson, she is my rock for sure. And she'll shoot it to me straight. She'll tell me when I'm wrong and she'll tell me when I'm right, and she'll be there to be my motivation. If I'm having a bad day, I know I can just text her and she'll give me a great pick me up. If I need her, she's coming. She's the godmother to my children, so I know like if anything ever happened to me, she would be there and be able to continue and instill those values, those same values within my kids. And then my brothers, and I've got close network of friends, my sorority sisters. I mean, my village is, I'm going to say they're top notch, and it's tough, and it's deep, right? And I know everybody doesn't have that, and I get that. But I think that even if it's just one person, that's still your village. And I'm honest, like, full transparency, I'll be that village if somebody doesn't have one, because I know what it's like to be there and be in that space and feel like you're alone and you just need somebody just to give you a hug, And so for anybody that's listening out there, if you need a village, call me. I'm here for you. I may not know you, but I know what it's like to feel like you're alone and if you don't have that village. And if you do have you have that village, lean on them. Yeah. Lean on them for sure. They wouldn't be there if they didn't want to support you. So don't feel like you're being a burden on anybody. So I know that took us all different ways, but I mean, it really started from the values that my parents instilled in me and my brothers and how they brought us up. And never stop. Got to keep going. Gotta always be curious.
No, that is such a great response of having that village, and a village doesn't necessarily have to be confined by, blood. It can be, friends. It can outside. Be, outside community.
And it can also only be one person.
Exactly.
That's all you have access
Yeah.
I mean, even with you all getting ready to kind of start your careers, like, you know, it could be your academic advisor. It could be the career services team being part of your village right now as you're trying to help find a job. Yeah. You know, it could be everybody here in this building, you know, those types of things. It could be me, your cheerleader, whatever, you know, I think that, you know, just giving you all advice, I kind of think about those different things as well to be part of your village.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That means a lot to us, and I'm sure it will mean a lot to people who listen to this podcast as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now, let's dive into some advice questions.
Oh, okay. I think I've been dropping little.
You have, but let's get into just a few more, and then we'll wrap things up. So, first, what advice do you have for individuals who are interested in continuing their educational journey?
First, we'll go back to defining your goals. You know, you've got to set those if you're going to continue your education. You know, is it because you want to grow in your career? Is it because you want to make a pivot? Is it because you just want to continue learning? Or it could be something else. Whatever it is, set those goals. Do a vision board if you have to. Whatever you do, just set those goals. I always tell people to write it down in some way. Because if you write it down and you see it, you're more than likely to actually do it.
Right. Oh, that's good.
If it's invisible, it's like, oh, it's in the brain, but it's not really anywhere. I don't have to hold myself accountable.
Right. Yeah.
It's the same thing with like my Google Calendar. I'm like, if it's on the Google Calendar, 9 times out of 10, it's going to happen.
I feel that.
Yes. Because you've got it and it's staring you in the face and you're like, okay, I got you, Google. I got it, you know? So it happens. So I always recommend people write down your goals, paste it wherever you need it to, whether it be on your computer, on a Post-it note, your refrigerator, on your mirror, so that you see it every day when you're getting ready for work or school or whatever, getting ready to go out and hang out with friends. Whatever the case may be, write it down where you can see it. And always revisit it. Yeah. Don't let it just kind of be there and cast over it, because when you get down, look at your goals, see where you're going to go. That's good. The next thing would be kind of research, doing your research. You know, we have I'm biased, but we do have one of the best programs in the Huntsville community. And like I said, it's because we're part of a Tier 1 research institution. Yeah. We're able to tap into the expertise not only here at the university, but even our community partners. Right across the street, we have one of the largest research parks in the nation. We've got the Redstone Arsenal, who has a plethora of knowledge. I mean, we're building rockets, and you know, like, come on, we've got all of that here in this little town here in Alabama. Well, not so little, right? Anymore. Right. Yeah. We're growing, but you know, you know, kind of do research your programs, and then. You know, we talked about the village, leveraging that resource, whether that be your village, or I have coordinators who are ready and available to help you kind of figure out what's going to work best for you based off of what your goals are. So if you're like, hey, I really want to move up in a leadership position, but I'm lacking conflict resolution. Okay, great. Let me work to figure out what course would be best for you in order to accomplish that goal of being able to resolve conflict. Yeah. And that's one of our hot topics, that and emotional intelligence. Ooh. Mm-hmm. Just because we have such a beautifully diverse community and we're all different, which can be good and be bad. Yeah. It's good because life is not boring, but it's bad if you don't know how to manage it accurately. Exactly. So getting those tools to be able to manage that conflict is definitely key in if you're moving into a leadership role. Network and connect. Network and connect with your subject matter experts, especially the ones that are in the community. Mainly if you're looking to make a job change. Yeah. Because you never know who they know and what spaces they can put you in based off of you just saying, hey, I noticed that you worked at, I'm going to say UAH, for example. Is there a job for XYZ available? Well, actually, let me direct you to the Human Resources website.
Right.
And here's a listing of all our open positions. You never know. So just networking and connecting with anybody that you kind of come across within developing your skills, whether that be through us or if you go and get a degree, or whatever the case may be. Definitely networking and connecting. A lot of times finances keep people from continuing their education. A lot of people don't know that their employer might cover professional development or continuing their education. And so just going to HR and asking that question. We work with Bright Horizons EdAssist, which is a third-party partner, and they work with a lot of companies in the area to kind of be that venue to make the finances happen, so that way the companies don't have to worry about it. Not everybody uses it, but there are some kind of bigger name companies in the area that use it. But even just, there was one person, I was like, they were like, oh, I really want to take this class, but I don't know if I can afford it. And I'm like, okay, where do you work? And they said so-and-so and so-and-so. And I said, well, have you talked to anybody in HR to see if they offer any, coverage? And they were like, that's a thing? And I said, it's a thing. So they went and asked the question, and boom, they went through a whole certificate program and got their whole certificate program covered.
Wow.
So it's just more of being curious and
Yeah.
asking the right questions, so that way you can kind of have that finance piece covered.
Yeah.
And embracing the lifelong learning mindset, really embracing that. And that goes back to setting that goal. If you want to continue learning, if you want to be curious, if you want to advance, setting that lifelong learning mindset. So that's all my little advice.
No.
For if you want to continue your education.
That is all great. I love that you covered a lot of very realistically thought about points that people may think of, oh, well, like you said, with the finances, like, I don't know if I can be able to afford that, and not being able to get over that mentality of, well, will I still be agile enough to, continue that education mentally and, academically. So thank you for that, of being able to share the whole perspective. That is very awesome. Yes. So thank you.
I do have one more thing I forgot, that celebrate the small wins.
Ooh, that's another good one.
Celebrate the small wins. It was something I lost track of because I was like, oh my God, it feels like I'm just constantly spinning my wheels. But then when I sat back and re-looked at the year, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
We did,
right.
We really did. Okay. All right. And I didn't celebrate those small wins as my journey. And so that's why I felt like I was overwhelmed and overstimulated and almost at that burnout stage. But then when I sat back and I was like, okay, so now I'm back being intentional about celebrating those small wins. We like to have small dance parties in the hallway when we celebrate small wins too.
Oh, I love that. Yes. I love that. That is a really good point, though, because I feel that a lot of times, like you said, we get so caught up in the moment of, oh my gosh, well, I am doing this and this and this and this, and lose track of those small wins.
Yeah, you kind of forget about them.
Yeah. And so that's really important to be able to, like you said, about the photography, life is made out of, you got to take the negative and turn it into the positive. And so it's like that, of celebrating those small wins.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Let's see what other question we have. Let's see. Ooh, okay. Last one. Why do you think individuals should continue their educational journey?
So I'll go back to when I was talking about the OLLI program.
Okay.
When I worked with them, so like I said, the majority of my stint was working with them. There are 125 OLLIs across the nation, and they're all connected with institutions. Bernard Osher, he started a foundation, and he was very intentional that he wanted the lifelong learning programs connected to an institution. He has some other adventures, medical things of that nature, but with the Ollie program, he was very intentional in that aspect. And, when I first did my onboarding, one of the things that the person who was doing my onboarding as becoming, being an Ollie director, he mentioned that the research shows that your brain deteriorates faster if you don't continue learning. Because if you're learning, your brain is working. If you're not learning, it's slowing down and it deteriorates faster. That is why Bernard Osher started the Ollie program, because he didn't want people who retire to kind of sit and not do anything. Yeah. He wanted them to be able to continue to use their brains, continue to use their bodies. It's because their courses are not just, fun learning courses. They have yoga, they have belly dancing, they have line dancing. So they're using their bodies as well. They get to take a lot of fun courses.
Man, I'm jealous.
I love that for them.
Exactly.
Seriously.
Goals, right?
Yeah.
Goals. But so, that always stuck with me of, wow, we always have to continue learning and using our brains. And it doesn't even have to be in an overcapacity. It could be that one day, you may not have learned how to change oil on your car. And then you're like, hey, will somebody teach me how to change the oil in my car? And boom, you've learned a new skill, right?
Something that I need to do.
Well, it's funny. My dad's an automotive mechanic, and I can't tell you how to even open the hood, okay? I feel that. And everyone's like, your dad's an automotive mechanic. I was like, yeah, but I didn't learn that skill. My dad's an automotive mechanic. I take it to him.
Exactly. Take it to the professional.
Take it to the professional. But, that always stuck with me. And I continue that on as I share our story and share my passion for continuous learning, whether it be professional or personal. You got to keep your brain working. Yeah. Got to keep it working every day.
Yeah. Well, that's
forever.
That's good. That's a good reason to continue education. Yes. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Well, let's wrap things up.
Absolutely.
And so if someone is interested in getting involved with the Office of Professional and Continuing Education, how can they do that?
Yeah, so we've got a website. My marketing team has done an amazing job making it super user-friendly. It's opce.uah.edu. We've got everything you need to know about us on our site, so you can visit there. Also, if you want to follow us on LinkedIn, we're UAH Office of Professional and Continuing Education, or you can also follow me. I share all of our stuff, so you can find me Fathia Hardy on LinkedIn, also on Facebook, and you can learn how to get involved.
Yeah. Well, awesome. And thank you again, Fathia, for joining us on this episode of WIT Talk.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Your insights are very, very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. And thank you, Nicole, for joining us on this episode of WIT Talk as a co-host. And thank you for listening to this episode of WIT Talk. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.